Good evening, Gavin.
Good evening, CC, and welcome all to our weekly podcast, Terry Curran's The Curran View with the Isle of Hillsborough, Mr. Terry Curran. And if you're listening free to the first half on either Acast or Spotify, you can follow the links on our socials and access the full podcast via either Apple or become a patron, all the w's.patreon.com/SRBmedia. You can follow us on Twitter at Curran View, on Facebook The Curran View, on Instagram, or join the group 3.2 thousand strong to date. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Where did April come from, TC? I meant Apple.
I think you've been wound up all day, I think. So I think you got your words slurred a little bit or mixed up a bit.
I've been out in my garden, actually, doing a bit of cutting back and trimming and pruning, etc., etc. And I've just had my tea. We do this a little bit later. Tonight it's Wednesday night. Sunderland are just kicking off away at Sheffield United. Just to give it a date stamp. TC, a date stamp on the weekend or a magic moment stamp on the weekend. What did you source for us? What a load of great goals and magic moments, by the way.
When you ask me this question, I'm
mad,
repeating myself like steady. I'm steady away, steady Eddie. You know what I mean? And there's that many great goals. Yeah. Which ones do you pick? And look, we could pick 20 or 30 out of them, really, couldn't we? Through all the leagues, you know. But I'm going to go with Diaz at Liverpool, the equaliser. Because when he came in from, remind me a little bit like me.
Yes.
Cut it perfect. My goal against United when I was playing for Wednesday, right into the same corner of the goal. So that's the goal I'm going for. But there's absolutely been some sublime passes and goals and magic moments in many of the games.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a great goal from what's the fella's name?
Diaz.
Is it Diaz?
Yeah, Diaz. Diaz.
Okay, but he's a Colombian fella, isn't he? He's quite new to Liverpool. They bought him, I think. What was it, last January when it was certainly flagged up that Tottenham were after him, so they decided to purchase him a little bit earlier. It was a great goal.
It looks a good signing for Liverpool.
Yeah, but he fell over when he shot, didn't he? He hadn't got as good a balance as you, and I don't think that his goal was technically. I think yours was much more difficult because yours was more towards the corner flag, wasn't it? And you had a lot of players around you.
Yeah, but don't forget they're sending me away from goal. You taught that. Defenders are taught that. You know what they've done is switched off, thinking I'm not going to. I think I'm going to knock it back. I'm going to knock it back.
Yeah.
And then because I've got an explosive, I had explosive pace.
Yeah.
I saw the little gap and went away. I think he's going to be a very, 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 very good player, mate. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems. I think he needs to fill out a little bit, but he'll get that as he gets more game time. I was very impressed with him. I know the game's about 90 minutes and, even more so in today's modern game. It can go on for, 97, 98, 99 minutes, can't it?
Yeah.
But it showed glimpses for me that looked there's going to be a player. I was impressed with him, Gavin. I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him.
Don't forget they went down to 10 men.
Yeah.
And if for me, if Zaha scored more, and he gets chances to score goals as Zaha, Zaha.
Yeah.
If he scored more goals, he won't be at Palace. I know he went to Man United, but he would have been let go by Man United. I guarantee you. His only problems are for me. He don't get enough goals when he's playing in a position, and he gets the chances to score goals. But he's a hell of a player.
Thing is, I guess with Wilfred, is that he has, no disrespect to Crystal Palace, because I like what Patrick Vieira's doing. I do like Crystal Palace. But if he was playing, say, for instance, for a Manchester City or a Liverpool, he would get far more chances and he would score far more goals. I think he's a quality player.
I get that, but he does miss a lot of chances.
Yeah, he does, yeah. But again, he don't have that many.
Oh,
So
yes,
it's glaring, isn't it?
100%. When you're playing in a Manchester City or a Chelsea or Liverpool, you're going to get more chances because they're going to attack more. They're going to have more percentage of ball.
Yeah.
You know, I get that. You're 100% right. But he's still, I mean, he's the man and he's the penalty taker.
Yeah.
He still doesn't get enough goals for me, and that's not been a criticism for him because I could watch him play all day long. I like to watch him play.
He's quality.
You know, and I always say to boys, they can't give him space because one thing about him, he's got great pace and all.
Yeah, he certainly has. And that game, Liverpool, I thought Liverpool absolutely dominated it, and it was only a matter of time until they were going to score. And as with many times when you're watching football or playing football, the ball goes down the other end and the other team score really against the run of play. And I looked at it and I was going to post up on Facebook, well, that's football, kids. And that is sometimes what you're getting. Liverpool are getting a little bit of that this season. Will that continue?
They've had a good run.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
I mean, I watch Manchester City, and sometimes it ain't gone their way. You know, when they created the chances. But Liverpool, I've said 5 or 6 chances, but for some unknown reason, wouldn't go in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there was one of them where he's hit the inside of the post and it's bounced back out the other way. And I said, how's that not come out to one of the players? So, you know, sometimes it goes for it and sometimes it doesn't. It just didn't go for Liverpool. And I still thought they were a better team when they went down to 10 men.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you know, you have that situation in the game. You score 3 or 4 goals, and then they're right up in the papers. Is Liverpool were absolutely magnificent, on fire, unstoppable. Then 4 chances don't go in. You draw 1-1, and the narrative is completely different. I didn't think there was much wrong with Liverpool. I think there's something wrong with Nunez's brain. I mean, and then Didier, man, when he said he just walked into him, you know, he walked, he nutted him.
You know what I've told you about the VAR?
Yeah.
The VAR don't make mistakes. It's other people, right, what are giving us the result of the VAR.
Yeah.
And it's come out now that that's true. I mean, Didier, man, if he thinks that, listen, I don't want to see anybody get sent off. I got sent off 5 times, and I used to go crazy when I got kicked up in air.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do it, but it's frustrating. I get it. But if he thinks that he can kid anyone on, that he's walked into him, then he's on planet in Mars.
No, I did have to laugh when he said that, and I thought, no, he didn't say it. I'll watch it again. Yeah, he did. He walked into him. No, he absolutely headbutted him. Ridiculous. He's apologised. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But again, if you got that reputation, the defenders are going to play on that, and that could prevent him from playing many more games of football for Liverpool. But again, Liverpool do look as though they're going to be the biggest threat to Manchester City's title. And I think Chelsea and Arsenal are not going to be far behind them. Jesus' first goal for Arsenal against Leicester, thought it was absolutely sublime. No backlifting, he's just stuck in the top corner, hasn't he?
I didn't realise that he'd had an ACL
Yeah.
when he first came to Manchester City. And remember what I've told you, it took me 14 months for me to recover. You know, I mean, I always thought he's going to be a hell of a player. And it's taken some time. It's taken him really good 15 months to get over his injury. And now he's a regular player in this Arsenal team, and he knows he's going to be playing. He's fulfilling, and he looks that player that we all thought he was going to be.
Absolutely. And I was listening to Steve Perryman's podcast this week, and Steve loved his goal, his second goal, where he just tapped it in. And he said, "Oh no, it was his head, but it's a tap in on the far post." So many goals go missing or chances rather go missing on that far post. And I thought that the 2 goals that he scored, the one was his bread and butter, and the other one just a magic moment. And I thought you saw in that game that Jesus can score all kinds of goals. And I am calling him Jesus. I keep hearing them saying it's Jesus. Well, if it is, it's Jesus Christ, it isn't Jesus Christ. So we do say it's Jesus Christ. So I'm calling the kid Jesus.
But listen, some people always pronounce it different ways, but
Yeah.
if it's pronounced properly, it's Jesus.
Yeah, maybe
In English, it is anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And he's playing in England. He's playing for Arsenal. They look as though they could be a threat to Tottenham's position into that top four slot in the Champions League. And I looked at the Tottenham and Chelsea game. Koulibaly, what a strike! I mean, you don't get better strikes than that from a central striker, and he's a centre half. It was quality, wasn't it?
Absolutely sublime. And again,
Yeah.
we can go through it all. But let's go back to the Tottenham and Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal blew it last year to finish in the top four.
Spot on.
You know, Tottenham look a different proposition this season under Conte. I know there's only a couple of games, but towards the end of the season, you saw that little bit more grit in the and more organisation defensively in the Tottenham team. And I think they've added. Well, I don't think they've added. They've added a quality players. You know, it's going to be a really good fight for the top four for 5 or 6 teams this year.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that Man City, I think we're both agreed on that. Man City top, Liverpool second, and I think third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, any from Tottenham, Chelsea.
I'm not convinced that Liverpool will finish second.
Are you
I'm
not?
Well, I think the aging players in midfield, and it's not really gone about
yeah, good point.
Replacing or having younger players to come in, gain that experience and gain game time against the weaker teams. And when you see that happen, you see what happens to the Leeds United over the years when they were one of the best teams. Same thing happened to Chelsea when they were one of the best teams. Man United twice now after the 68 European Cup win, right up to maybe 1970. And then you've seen Man United again since Alex Ferguson has gone. So you always have to keep rebuilding and replacing senior players.
Absolutely. And I think in terms of Manchester United, absolutely awful start, the worst start for many a season. And it looks as though it's going to be a big ask for Den Haag or Ten Hag to change that around. But again, it's a kind of watch this space. And while we're talking about Manchester, I thought Kevin De Bruyne's goal was just sublime. Outside of his foot, the kid's he's just a magician, isn't he?
I don't think we've got any more words for him, have we? No. You know, I would say he's been. You can all have Roy Keanes, you can all have your Brian Robsons, I would, and your Stephen Gerrards. I would say he's been the best midfield player I have seen in the Premier League.
Yeah, because I think he's got a bit of everything, hasn't he, Kevin De Bruyne?
Pace, aggression, scores goals. Yes, he's playing in a team what's consistently winning, whereas Gerrard maybe carried Liverpool at times.
Yeah.
Because weren't as strong as Manchester. You watch De Bruyne, he's got a foot, but he's got absolute everything.
You're breaking up a bit, TC. Where are you today?
No, I'm just sat in the kitchen, but I always say. What I've done, I had my phone away from me.
Oh, okay, that's probably what it was. But that ball ain't very far away from Kevin De Bruyne, wherever he's on the pitch, and he's like that magnet, isn't he? The players look to Kevin De Bruyne to make the play, and what a fantastic strike! You're looking, you think, where's he going? Outside and bang.
I get that, and I agree with Silverson about that. If I were the manager, well, if you were the manager and you kept playing to that player all the time, eventually, you know, good teams will go hang a bit.
Yeah,
we've got to stop that. But they've got that many great players in the team what can do as good a things as what De Bruyne does. But he is that special. People are frightened of him.
Absolutely. You don't. Well, again, he's a very difficult player to play against because you get too tight, he'll do you.
When it's on to give him early, give it him early because he will exploit it.
Yeah.
He's got the brain to it.
Absolutely. You mentioned Graham Souness, little bit of hot water for some, but I thought he was absolutely spot on. I think the referees this season are letting a lot more go, and I think some of the decisions on VAR, the lines look as though they're a little bit thicker. goals that I've seen this season would have been disallowed last season. Fouls would have been, well, challenges would have been fouls last season. The referees, they must have been told to just let play continue. Graham Souness says, I'm really enjoying this. We've got our game back. And when they were talking about Tuchel and Conte, well, it's a man's game. And let's be honest, it is a man's game. I know women play
I
football.
ain't
I
gonna
know
bow
kids,
down.
but
I
it's a
ain't gonna
man's
bow
game.
down. I ain't gonna bow down to the woke.
No,
I
absolutely.
ain't gonna bow down to them.
Yeah.
Right? We call that a man's game because that's what it were.
100%.
That's what it was. The women's game has been elevated by the media. Technically, I look at some of the women and they've got some fantastic skills, and I don't mind. There's a lot of people don't like the women's game because that's the sun side of it. But that's what I will call our game, football. It's a man's game.
Yeah.
Right? Because the women, yes, have been playing for years, but it's never been elevated to what they're trying to elevate it to now. Right? So why is it wrong for Souness to say it's a man's game? Because we've got to use different pronouns.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be using different pronouns. I use my own pronouns. And if people don't like it, just like I can switch it off. I can block them. I can do anything I want on social media. And that's what they have to do. Not that we can't say this and we can't say that. They're living in a different world to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought he was spot on. I think Souness's analysis is always spot on. And for anybody to get their knickers in a twist over that comment of Graham Souness, I think you need to have a long, hard look in the mirror.
Again, it's only the woke what's doing it. I
is.
listen to Simon Jordan
Yes.
and I listen to Souness, but now it looks like he's becoming a Vedler on the Monday show. And I think it's fascinating listening to all three of them. Jim White, sometimes I bite my tongue with Jim because I'm not quite sure whether he's trying to wind people up. But Simon Jordan, I mean, he's got you can see and you can hear how he speaks. He's got a natural, and he can talk about any mortal thing from politics to football. They both speak a lot of sense. And I think that's going to be a fascinating show because that'll only get bigger and bigger and bigger with those three on it. So that's what I'll be listening to. I won't be. When I watch football, I turn a lot of the sound off because I don't want to listen to the woke at halftime and people bowing down, saying the pronouns just because it's so. Sky won't survive because anybody tells me none of it will survive because all this will fall in their faces when it all sorted out within the next 2 years.
Absolutely, TC, and you're right. On a Monday, it's fantastic when Graham Souness and Simon Jordan are on there with Jim White. I think Jim is he's a bit of a fence sitter, isn't he? He's a little bit of a brown noser, if I'm absolutely honest. But he's
I think he winds people up. I think he's there to.
I think
throw
he's a
those
tremendous
questions
host.
to get the people to phone in, get irritated.
Yeah, but
that's how I look at it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But he is a fantastic host, and them two are tremendous. I don't think we're going to see many rows because I mean what they're going to do, and they go to head, they're going to be at each other's throats. I don't think they will because they're both very intelligent people and look at the game and look at the world in a proper intelligent manner and way, and won't be swayed by the woke. And I think it's refreshing. It's good to listen to because there are some other broadcasters I just turn it off because I just can't listen to them.
Well, Simon Jordan reminds me, in especially in football, of Jordan Peterson, the intellect. He knows how to word when anyone throws something at Simon Jordan. He's got the intelligence to override all that. So for me, that will only go from strength to strength. I'm saying they won't. I think Sky apologised for Graham Souness. I'm not quite sure whether Graham Souness apologised, but I think Sky apologised for Graham using that term. It's we've got our game back. It's a man's game. No, it's a man's game. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. Now, again, I'll repeat it again. The women's game's been elevated by the media, right? What else has it done? it's won the European Championship in England, and I guarantee you this: in 5 years' time, I bet people won't remember who won it.
Possibly not. And I'll tell you what, it'd be very interesting to see what the attendances will be like when the WSL starts. I hope that fans do come out and watch them play and tune in and watch them, because I do like to watch the women play. The wokeness of it all annoys me, and it was a big turn off. When I did watch them in the Euros, I was really impressed with the quality of some of the players.
Gabby, I want you to listen to what I'm going to say to you now.
Yeah.
Did you watch all the matches? I watched majority.
No, I watched mainly England, but some of the games.
I watched a lot of them.
Yeah.
Did you see what type of fan were in the ground? Different type of fans will go. So I watched the majority of them. They're a different type of fan. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the main thing. The main thing is this. I wouldn't believe the media if they said to me, "Good morning." Because majority, I'll guarantee you, they gave a lot of tickets away for these games.
100%.
They cannot kid me. Some managers try to kid me. They could never kid me. Because I will always ask that question.
Yeah.
Do I like watching women's football? Yes, I do. And it's not because the women. I like to watch it because technically they're not bad.
Yeah.
Do I think it's on the same level as men?
No.
No. Do I think that, they've done a great job by winning the European Championship? Yes. For the women's football or women's sport, absolutely brilliant. But I ain't going to fall or go and do what they won't want me to do. I will tell it as I see it. Different fans go to that women's football compared to men's football. You watched the show. Majority of them are kids. They've been given tickets, or the parents been given tickets to take the kids for different atmosphere altogether. And yet, I will say this: it'll have done the world of women's football the world of good. I'll guarantee you'll not be seeing them full houses.
No.
Unless they're giving tickets away.
Absolutely, TC. Spot on. Book corner in association with myfootballbooks.com. Andy has sent us his recommended book this week, and it's one that I have in my library as well. It's called Origin Stories. We have talked about it in the last series on the Curran View. The Pioneers Who Took Football to the World by Chris Lee, and Chris Lee does an excellent podcast called The Outside Right. Pitch Publishing have published it, and it goes through the world talking about those pioneers and how football originated in countries all around the world. So it is a great read. It's got a fantastic cover with an old brown leather case ball and a cleverly improvised map of the world on it. So Origin Stories by Chris Lee, The Pioneers Who Took Football to the World, looks an absolute fabulous read. And on this day, the 16th of August, so it would have been yesterday, TC, 1831, Ebenezer Cobb Morley was born. He was the FA's first secretary and did the first draft of the laws of the game in 1863. So happy heavenly birthday, Ebenezer.
I wonder what he's thinking now with the game, if you could see it, and the changes to the laws of the game.
I would say that he would be looking down on a cloud and saying, if it's an obvious offside, put your flag up. If it's an obvious decision, make that decision, because the laws of the game are there. You've studied the laws of the game, you referees and linesmen, so please implement it. And there was a situation where the Everton lad broke his leg on the first game of the season, and I said to Tom, he's gone through all the pre-season, he's gone through everything, I think he's lasted about 12 minutes, he's got a broken leg, and all the linesman needed to do was put his damn flag up, because that ball was about 3 yards out of play. And it just annoys me when they don't put the flags up. With the ones that it's a tight call, I get that, but the obvious ones, put your flag up, stop the game, and let's get on with it. You don't
Gabby, you expect it. You do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I would do that.
Yeah.
But the other people want the money.
Yeah.
right, and they're told what to do, they will do it. Keep the mouth shut, and that's what they will do.
Yeah, absolutely sad because footballers are going to get injured. I know players are up, but there's, it happens. Players get injured. I know they do. I hear that and I see that. Of course they do. But these are unnecessary injuries where the ball's out of play.
By the way, I get that, Gabby, but I tell you what, it doesn't take long for some of these players to be injured, does it? They can't. Listen, they can't play. They just do a little slip in the shower or something. So it's unbelievable. But I get where you're coming from. They can get serious injuries.
Absolutely. And after all, TC, it is a man's game. So I think we're gonna be hashtagging it. It's a man's game. Do you remember Soccer Saturday when they used to do the Yorkie advert? It's not for girls. I did put it up on the Curran View this week. I don't know if the woke are going to try and historically sue Yorkie, but it was brilliant. The girls used to put moustaches on and stuff, and can I have a Yorkie bar, please? And then they'd ask him about the offside
I
rule,
can remember
etc.
it. Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, Yorkie, it's not for girls. I mean, it just shows you, and it wasn't that long ago, how far I would say backwards our society's going, not forwards. But
All they're doing is changing the words in the dictionary, aren't they?
they certainly are, and they just making absolutely no sense to me in this modern world. But what does make and what did make sense to me is the next book. I've got both of them here in my library. Rodney Marsh, I Was Born a Loose Cannon with Brian Woolner, and Rodney Marsh, Priceless, the autobiography. Two books there of Rodney. What a player. Deaf in one ear as well, isn't he, Rodney?
I didn't know that. Again, I've learned something. I always learn something every week with you, Gabby.
I think England were playing Wales and Malcolm McDonald come off the pitch. I think it was at half time. And he said, "Why didn't you pass to me? I was shouting." And Rodney said, "I couldn't hear. I'm deaf in one ear." And
But he might be using that as an excuse.
well, I thought that until I saw Dan Abrams, who wrote the book, the 1971-72 season. He commented about Rodney being deaf in one ear. So if you do read the book, guys, I don't know whether it'll be in Loose Cannon or Priceless, but I'm guessing Rodney will say that he is actually, in fact, deaf in one ear. I have got on.
If I'd have thought of that when I was playing with Jack, I'd have said to him, I'm deaf in both ears, Jack, mate."
Mind you, I was out with a lad once. I mean, I wasn't out with a lad, but he was a mate. And he asked this bird to dance. And she said, "I'm ever so sorry, I've got a wooden leg." And then 5 minutes after, that wooden leg looked ever so good as she was tripping tripping the fandango across the dance floor with some handsome-looking young man. I said, yeah, that wooden leg looks good, mate. But there you go. But I think Rodney is deaf in one ear. And also a book that we've that's been on the shelf for a few months now. I think it come out last year, summer last year. Jim McCalliog, Wembley Wins, Wembley Woes.
Yes, it's a great book. I bought that up at Midlandly. Trying to think with the pub at Midlandly. I went along to when Jim was selling that, and he still is by Sheffield Wednesday Idler. What is Jim? Great book.
Absolutely. I went up to the Black Country and then met Jim, had a photograph taken with him and bought his book. And in not this issue, which is number 80 of Backpass magazine, but issue number 79, there's a wonderful return of the Mac. It's a great piece by David Instone talking to Jim McCalliog and going through his career that spanned Wolverhampton Wanderers, Chelsea, Sheffield Wednesday, Manchester United, Saints and Lincoln. Jimmy's star of the 70s later on in the podcast, so we will be looking at his career. But a tremendous little spread there. Jim McCalliog, Wembley Wins, Wembley Woes. What a player. Jim McCalliog is, well, he isn't a player now, but he always will be a player. And I never say how he was, because it just infers that he's not with us no more. But Jimmy is great guy and a wonderful book and a fantastic read, TC.
I tell you what, when I was speaking to Jim, he asked me about Laurie McMenemy because he didn't like Laurie McMenemy, didn't Jim?
Did he not?
No, he didn't like him at all.
Again, with some managers and some players, you get on and some don't. And
exactly. Look, you know, I look at McMenemy as a bloke. He weren't a bad bloke. I just thought if he,
yeah.
SRBMedia.